Level 1. The Fall. You used to save lives for a living. 12 years in the ER, chief surgeon at 34. Your hands were steady enough to repair a torn aorta at 3 in the morning while the rest of the world slept. You were the person people prayed for when the ambulance doors swung open. Then one night, a decision, one split second. A patient on your table, critical, crashing. You made the call every surgeon fears. You pushed forward when maybe you should have stopped. He didn't make it. The family sued. The board investigated. The hospital, protecting itself the way institutions always do, handed you over. They stripped your license. 18 months later, you are standing in a studio apartment that smells like cigarettes and someone else's life. The walls are thin. The pipes knock at night. Your diplomas are in a box under the bed because you can't bear to look at them and you can't bear to throw them away. You tend bar now. 3 nights a week at a place where nobody asks questions. You tell yourself this is temporary. You have been telling yourself that for 18 months. Then one Tuesday, a man sits down at the far end of the bar. He doesn't order a drink. He just slides a business card across the counter, face down. He says one sentence, "I know what your hands used to be able to do," and he walks out. You stand there for a long moment. You look at the card. You flip it over. There's no name. No logo, just a phone number and 2 words printed in small, clean type. We remember. You put the card in your pocket. You tell yourself you are going to throw it away when you get home.
Level 2. The First Call. You don't throw it away. For 3 days, the card sits on your kitchen counter next to a bottle of aspirin and an unpaid electricity bill. You walk past it every morning. You don't touch it, you don't throw it away. On the 4th day, you call. 1 ring. Someone picks up immediately, like they were already waiting. A voice. Calm, professional. The kind of voice that belongs to someone who has never panicked in their life. Gives you an address and a time. Tomorrow, 11 p.m. You show up. It's a warehouse on the edge of the industrial district. Inside, it has been converted into something that makes your breath catch in your throat. A surgical suite. Not a back alley butcher shop. A real suite. Stainless steel. Climate controlled, a full instrument tray, a proper operating light overhead, the kind that costs $40,000 and washes the table in clean white light with no shadows. A man in a gray suit meets you at the door. He explains it simply. There are people in this city, he says, who cannot go to hospitals. People whose names cannot appear in any record. People who need a surgeon and need discretion in equal measure. He tells you that the work is real medicine. He tells you that the pay is extraordinary. He tells you that you will want for nothing. He tells you the first job is tonight. You look at the table. You look at the instruments. You look at your hands. What do? You already know the answer. You knew it the moment you picked up the phone. You ask him where the gloves are.
Level 3. The Patient. The man on the table is maybe 30 years old. He has a gunshot wound to the upper left abdomen, through and through. Clean entry, messier exit. He has lost blood. Not enough to kill him, not yet, but enough that the window is closing. The moment you put on the gloves, something shifts inside you. Your hands remember everything. You work. You clean the wound. You control the bleeding. You are talking quietly as you operate, not to the nurse assisting you, a silent, efficient woman you have never met, but to yourself. Old habit. The running commentary you used to do in the ER, keeping your thoughts in order, keeping your focus sharp. 2 hours later, you tie the last suture. The man is stable. You strip off your gloves. You sit down on a stool in the corner of the room, and you realize you are shaking, not from fear, but from something else entirely, something you haven't felt in 18 months. Purpose. The man in the gray suit enters. He hands you an envelope without ceremony. Inside is $15,000 in cash. You stare at it. He tells you the car will take you home. He tells you they will be in touch. In the car, riding through the dark, empty streets of the city, you look out the window. You think about the man on the table. You think about his face, slack with sedation, trusting in a way that people only trust when they have no other choice. You saved him. The money is real. And here is the thing that scares you most. You already want to do it again.
Level 4. The Reputation. Word travels in ways you cannot track and cannot stop. You don't advertise, you don't have a name in any network, but somehow over the next 3 months, they find you. Gray suit coordinates. Your phone, a burner replaced every 2 weeks, rings on Wednesdays and Saturdays like clockwork. You operate twice a week, sometimes 3 times. A woman with a stab wound that missed the liver by 4 millimeters. A man who took a beating so severe that 3 ribs had fractured and one had shifted dangerously close to his lung. A teenager, and this one stays with you, the teenager, because he shouldn't be here. He is somebody's child, with a bullet fragment lodged at the base of his spine that you spend 4 hours extracting with a precision that leaves even the quiet nurse looking at you differently. You buy a better apartment. You pay off the debt you've been carrying since the lawsuit. You sleep better than you have in years. You tell yourself you are still a doctor. You are just practicing in a different system. Off the books, underground, but still healing people, still doing what you were born to do. And mostly that is true. But one Saturday night, the man on the table is different. He doesn't look like a victim. He has the kind of stillness that doesn't come from sedation alone. Even unconscious, there's a coldness to him. The nurse preps him without looking at his face. The gray suit stands further back than usual, near the door, hands folded. The wound is a knife wound, deep, to the side of the neck, the kind of wound that requires absolute precision or the patient bleeds out in under 3 minutes. You operate. You save him. Afterwards, the gray suit hands you double the usual envelope. You don't ask who he was. But that night, lying awake in your new apartment, staring at the ceiling, you realize something has quietly changed. You used to know who you were saving. Now you're not sure you want to. Level 5. The cost. 3 weeks later, you find out who the man was. You weren't looking, you weren't trying, but his face appears on the news. A brief segment, a journalist reporting on a string of disappearances in the Eastern District. The man in the photograph is younger, softer looking than the man on your table, but it is undeniably him. Call him a mid-level enforcer for an organization the reporter won't name on air. You sit with that information for a long time. Then the gray suit calls. There's a complication, he says. One of your patients from 2 months ago, the woman with the stab wound, she was found by police. She is alive. She is in a hospital. She is answering questions. She doesn't know your name, he assures you. She never did, but she described the surgical suite. She described a light overhead, that $40,000 operating light with no shadows. It is unusual enough that someone might start looking. The suite is being moved, he tells you. You are being moved. New location, new protocols, effective immediately. He says it the way a man says something that is not a request. And then he says something else, something that doesn't sound like much at first, but which you will replay in your mind for weeks. We've invested a great deal in you. We protect our investments. You hang up. You sit in your kitchen. You think about the teenager with the bullet near his spine. You think about the woman with the stab wound who is now in a hospital somewhere answering questions. You think about the man who is cold even when unconscious. You think about the word investment. For the first time since that Tuesday at the bar, you feel it. The thing you have been refusing to feel. Fear. The new suite is different, not in quality. If anything, it is better equipped than before, but it is underground, literally. You descend a staircase behind a door that requires a code. The ceiling is low. There are no windows. The air has the faint metallic bite of a recycled system. There are 2 nurses now instead of 1. Neither of them speaks unless necessary. The patients come faster. Wounds are more severe. You are better than you have ever been. That is the most unsettling part. The pressure, the stakes, the complete absence of any safety net. It has made you sharper. Your hands, which you once thought were finished, are doing things now that would make your former colleagues stare. You have operated on 6 people in the past 2 weeks. You don't sleep more than 4 hours at a time. One night, after a particularly difficult surgery, a patient who coded on the table and whom you brought back with nothing but skill and will, the gray suit does something he has never done before. He sits down. He pours 2 glasses of something amber and expensive and sets one in front of you. He tells you that you are the best they have ever had. He tells you that the organization, he uses that word carefully, precisely, like it has a specific meaning he wants you to absorb, has plans. Expansion, operations in 3 other cities. They need a chief medical officer, someone who oversees it all, someone they can trust. He slides a folder across the table. Inside, there is a photograph. It takes you a moment to understand what you are looking at. It is your daughter, walking out of her university, backpack over one shoulder, coffee in hand, laughing at something on her phone, caught in mid-step on an ordinary afternoon. She doesn't know she's being photographed. You look up at the gray suit. He is watching you with an expression that is not a threat, which somehow makes it more frightening than if it were. "We just want you to know," he says quietly,
how much we care about the people important to you. The glass of amber liquid sits between you, untouched.